The door swung open, and I froze, stark naked, in the middle of my hotel room, a towel crumpled uselessly on the floor. My heart slammed against my ribs as the room service guy, tall, broad-shouldered, with eyes wide as saucers, stood there, tray in hand, staring. Then, instead of bolting, he laughed, a warm, disarming sound that shattered the panic in the air and changed everything. My name is Ethan Caldwell, a 28-year-old graphic designer from Seattle, and I'd come to San Francisco for a tech conference that promised to be my big break. I'd spent the day pitching my portfolio to stone-faced executives, my nerves frayed like old wires. By the time I got back to my room at the upscale Hotel Azure, I was a mess, sweaty, exhausted, and desperate for a shower. I just stripped down, tossing my clothes into a chaotic pile, when I realized I hadn't eaten since breakfast. Room service seemed like the easiest fix, so I called down, ordered a burger, and hopped into the shower without a second thought. Big mistake. The shower was scalding, the steam curling around me like a cocoon, and I was lost in the relief of it when I heard the door click. I stepped out, dripping wet, expecting an empty room. Instead, there he was, Malik, as his name tag read, standing in the doorway holding a silver tray with my burger and fries. His dark eyes locked onto mine for a split second before he burst into that laugh, rich and unguarded, like we were old friends sharing an inside joke. Sorry, man, he stammered, setting the tray on the desk, his cheeks flushing. They said you were out, and I thought, well, clearly I thought wrong. He raised his hands in mock surrender, his grin infectious. I'll just vanish. Pretend this never happened. I scrambled for the towel, my face burning, but his easy humor cut through my embarrassment. No, wait, I blurted, clutching the towel to my waist. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but you don't have to vanish. He paused, one hand on the door, and tilted his head, studying me. You sure? 'Cause I can be gone faster than you can say, room service disaster. I laughed, surprising myself. Stay. At least let me tip you for witnessing my grand debut. Malik's grin widened, and he leaned against the doorframe, crossing his arms. He was maybe 29, with warm brown skin, close-cropped hair, and a presence that filled the room without trying. Grand debut, huh? I've seen worse. You're good. That moment, his casual kindness, the way he didn't make me feel like a fool, shifted something in me. I didn't know it then, but it was the start of a night that would unravel my carefully guarded heart. After he left, I sat on the bed, still wrapped in my towel, eating my burger and replaying the encounter. Why had I asked him to stay? I wasn't the type to flirt with strangers, especially not after a day like today. I'd been out as gay since college, but dating had always been a minefield. Too many guys who wanted quick hookups or didn't get my quiet, artsy vibe. I'd built walls around myself, focusing on work instead of love. Yet here I was, smiling like an idiot over a room service guy's laugh. The conference wasn't over. I had one more day to impress a potential client, a big-shot tech firm called Nexus Innovations. My portfolio was good, sleek designs, bold colors, but I was up against dozens of others, and my confidence was shaky. I needed to nail this, or I'd be back in Seattle, scraping by on freelance gigs. The pressure gnawed at me, but Malik's brief presence lingered like a spark, distracting me in a way I couldn't explain. The next evening, I ordered room service again. Same order, same hotel, same nervous energy. I made sure to be fully clothed this time, pacing the room in jeans and a t-shirt. When the knock came, my pulse spiked. Malik stepped in, same tray, same easy smile. No grand debuts tonight? He teased, setting the tray down. I smirked, feeling bolder than usual. Not unless you're hiding a camera crew. He chuckled, adjusting his name tag. Nah, just me. You're Ethan, right? I'm Malik. Figure we're past the awkward stranger phase. Yeah, I guess we are. I handed him a tip, our fingers brushing for a split second. It was nothing, really, but my skin tingled like I'd touched a live wire. You work here every night? Most nights, he said, leaning against the desk. Pays the bills while I figure out what's next. You here for the tech thing downstairs? I nodded, surprised he'd noticed. Trying to land a client. It's intense. Bet you're killing it, he said, his tone so genuine it caught me off guard. You've got that vibe. Like you're meant for big things. I didn't know how to respond. Compliments like that weren't my forte. Thanks, I mumbled. Then, desperate to keep him there, added, You ever go to those conference parties? They're happening downstairs. Malik raised an eyebrow. Me? Not my scene. Plus, I'm on till midnight. Too bad, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Could have used someone to make it less boring. His eyes flickered with something, curiosity, maybe interest. You saying I'm not boring? I'm saying you're the least boring thing in this hotel so far. He laughed again, that same warm sound, and for a moment the room felt smaller, the air charged. Careful, Ethan. Keep talking like that, and I might think you're flirting. Maybe I am, I said before I could stop myself. Malik's smile didn't fade, but his gaze softened, searching mine. Well, damn, he said quietly. Didn't see that coming. Neither did I. But as he left, promising to swing by if he got a break, I felt a pull I hadn't felt in years. This wasn't just a crush. It was something raw, real, and terrifying. And it was only the beginning. The conference party downstairs was a blur of fake smiles and clinking glasses, but my mind was on Malik. I stood in a corner, nursing a soda, watching tech bros in tailored suits pitch their dreams to each other. My portfolio was tucked under my arm, a lifeline to a future I wasn't sure I deserved, and all I could think about was whether he'd actually show up. I'd spent the day in back-to-back meetings, my designs projected on a screen for Nexus Innovations team. They liked my work, clean lines, vibrant palettes, but their feedback was brutal, bold, but safe. Can you push the edge? I nodded, promising revisions, but inside, I was spiraling. What did push the edge even mean? I was good, but was I good enough? Back in my room, I changed into a button-down and slacks, hoping to blend in at the party, but I felt like an imposter among the polished crowd. When Malik appeared at the ballroom entrance, my breath caught. He'd swapped his hotel uniform for a fitted black sweater and jeans, his presence somehow both understated and magnetic. He scanned the room, and when his eyes found mine, he grinned, weaving through the crowd like he belonged there. Didn't expect you to actually show, I said as he reached me, my voice betraying my nerves. Told you I'd try, he said, grabbing a drink from a passing waiter. This place is intense. You surviving? Barely, I admitted, loosening my collar. Feels like everyone here's got their life figured out except me. Malik tilted his head, his gaze steady. Nah, they're just louder about it. You've got something real going on. I can tell. His words hit harder than they should have. I wasn't used to people seeing me. Not the designer, not the pitch, just me. You don't even know me, I said, half joking. I know enough, he replied, his voice low. You're the guy who didn't die of embarrassment yesterday. That's gotta count for something. I laughed, the tension in my chest easing. We talked for hours, the party fading into background noise. Malik was from Oakland, working at the hotel while saving up for grad school in psychology. He wanted to help kids in foster care, kids like he'd been, bouncing between homes until he was 18. His story wasn't polished or rehearsed. It was raw, full of gaps he didn't fill, but it drew me in. He wasn't just charming, he was real. As the night wore on, the crowd thinned, and we ended up on a balcony overlooking the city. The San Francisco skyline glittered below, all sharp edges and golden lights. I leaned against the railing, my shoulder brushing his. You ever feel like you're waiting for something to happen, but you don't know what? I asked. All the time, he said, his voice soft, like you're stuck in a holding pattern, circling, hoping you don't crash. Exactly. I turned to him, our faces closer than I'd realized. His eyes held mine, and for a moment, I forgot the conference, the pressure, the walls I'd built. I wanted to kiss him, but the fear of misreading him, of ruining this, kept me still. Then he spoke, barely above a whisper. You're not what I expected, Ethan. Good or bad? I asked, my heart pounding. Good, he said, his smile small but certain. Really good. We didn't kiss that night, but we didn't need to. Something had shifted, like a door cracking open. He walked me back to my room, and when he left, I felt the weight of his absence like a physical thing. The next morning, I woke to a text from an unknown number. Hey, it's Malik. Got your number from the hotel system, hope that's cool. Coffee later? My stomach flipped. I typed back a quick yes, my fingers trembling. Coffee turned into a walk through the Mission District, where murals splashed color across every wall. Malik pointed out his favorites, his enthusiasm infectious. He talked about art like it was a language, and I found myself opening up about my designs, my fears of failing, my hope to make something that mattered. He listened, really listened, and when our hands brushed again, neither of us pulled away. But the conference loomed. My final pitch to Nexus was tomorrow, and I still hadn't pushed the edge. I spent the afternoon in my room, sketching frantically, but nothing felt right. Malik texted, asking if I wanted company, and I said yes before I could overthink it. He showed up with takeout, tacos from a truck he swore by, and we ate on the floor surrounded by my sketches. These are good, he said, studying one, but they feel careful, like you're holding back. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. They keep saying push the edge, but I don't know how. What if I mess it up? Malik set the sketch down, his gaze steady. You won't. You're scared, but you've got fire in you. I saw it the first night, when you didn't let that awkward moment break you. His words lit something in me. I leaned closer, my voice low. You're too good at this, making me feel like I can do anything. Maybe you can, he said, his eyes locked on mine. And then, before I could think, I kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, but when he kissed me back, it was like the world fell away. His hands found my face, and I felt seen, wanted, alive. When we pulled apart, he was smiling, his forehead against mine. Told you, he whispered. Fire. The kiss lingered in my veins like a drug, but the high didn't last. As dawn broke over San Francisco, the weight of the final pitch crashed back in. Malik's belief in me was a lifeline, but it couldn't erase the fear that I'd choke when it mattered most. I spent the morning in my hotel room, surrounded by crumpled sketches and cold coffee. My designs for Nexus were good, clean, professional, but Malik's words echoed, careful. I needed to take a risk to show them something raw, something me. I scrapped half my portfolio, sketching a new concept, a bold, abstract interface inspired by the murals Malik loved. It was messy, unpolished, but it felt alive. Malik texted around noon, "You got this. Show them who you are." I stared at the message, my chest tight. Who was I? A guy from Seattle with big dreams and bigger doubts. Now tangled up in feelings for a man I'd known for 3 days. It was reckless, but it fueled me. The pitch was in a sleek conference room, the Nexus team seated like judges at a trial. I walked them through my old designs, then paused, my heart racing. "This last one," I said, projecting the new sketch. "It's different. It's not safe. It's me." The room was silent as they studied the vibrant, chaotic lines. Then their lead, a woman named Clara, nodded slowly. This has soul," she said. "We'll talk." I left the room on shaky legs, texting Malik. "Did it. Took a risk." His reply was instant. "Knew you would. Proud of you." We met that evening at a quiet bar in the Castro, neon lights casting a warm glow over his face. He was in a flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up, and the sight of him made my pulse race. "So," he asked, leaning forward, "how'd it go?" "They liked it," I said, still disbelieving. "They really liked it." He grinned, raising his glass. "To pushing the edge." We clinked glasses, and for a moment, everything felt possible. But as the night deepened, so did my doubts. I was leaving tomorrow. Seattle was 800 miles away, and Malik was rooted here, his life tied to Oakland, his dreams of grad school. What were we doing? "You're quiet," he said, nudging my knee under the table. "What's up?" I hesitated, then let it spill. "I'm leaving tomorrow, and I don't know what this is. Us." His smile faded, but his eyes stayed warm. "Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Long distance is rough." But he reached for my hand, his thumb brushing my knuckles. "I don't want to stop this before it starts." My throat tightened. "Me neither. But what if it crashes and burns?" "Then we crash and burn," he said, his voice steady. "But I'd rather try and fail than wonder what could have been." His words hit me hard, echoing the risk I'd taken with my pitch. I squeezed his hand, feeling the weight of the moment. "Okay," I said, "let's try." We walked back to the hotel, the city alive around us. In my room, we kissed again, slower this time, like we were memorizing each other. It wasn't just attraction, it was trust, vulnerability, the kind of connection I'd spent years avoiding. When he left, promising to call, I felt both anchored and untethered, like a boat drifting toward an unknown shore. The next morning, I packed my bags, my mind a tangle of hope and fear. Nexus called as I checked out, offering me a contract. It was everything I'd worked for, but my thoughts were on Malik. We met for coffee before my flight, sitting in a crowded cafe, our knees touching under the table. "I'll come visit," he said, his voice firm, "and you'll come back here. We'll make it work." I wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at me. What if it's too hard? He leaned closer, his eyes fierce. "Ethan, you took a risk on your pitch and it paid off. Take a risk on us." I nodded, my chest aching. As I boarded my flight, his last text lit up my phone. "You're worth it. See you soon." I stared out the window as San Francisco shrank below, wondering if I was brave enough for this. Back in Seattle, the world felt grayer, smaller. The Nexus contract was a lifeline, but every sketch I drew, every line I coded, carried echoes of Malik. His voice, his laugh, his belief in me. They haunted me, and I wasn't sure if that was a gift or a curse. The first few weeks were a blur of work. Nexus loved my new direction, and I was buried in deadlines, designing interfaces that felt like pieces of myself. But at night, alone in my tiny apartment, I'd scroll through my texts with Malik, replaying our time in San Francisco. We called when we could, his voice crackling through my phone, but the distance was a weight neither of us could ignore. He visited a month later, stepping off a bus with a duffel bag and that same disarming grin. I met him at the station, my heart pounding like it had that first night. We spent the weekend exploring Seattle, Pike Place, the waterfront, a hole-in-the-wall diner he swore was better than any taco truck. At night, we tangled together in my bed, his warmth grounding me. But when he left, the ache returned, sharper than before. I hate this, I told him over a video call a week later, my voice raw. I want you here, not a screen. I know, he said, his face softening. I'm applying to grad schools, maybe one in Seattle. Would you want that? The question caught me off guard. Yeah, I said too quickly. But what about Oakland? Your life's there. He shrugged, but his eyes were heavy. My life's where I make it, and you're starting to feel like part of it. His words should have thrilled me, but they scared me too. What if I wasn't enough? What if I let him down? I'd spent so long guarding myself, and now I was in deep, too deep to pull back. Work kept me sane, but it wasn't enough. Nexus pushed for faster turnarounds, and the pressure started to crack me. One night, after a brutal critique from Clara, I called Malik, my voice shaking. I don't know if I can do this, I said. The job, us, any of it. He didn't flinch. You're doing it, Ethan. You're killing it. And I'm not going anywhere. But doubt crept in like fog. When he missed a call because of work, or I was too swamped to text back, the distance felt like a chasm. I started to wonder if we were fooling ourselves, chasing something that couldn't last. Then came the letter. Malik had applied to a psychology program at the University of Washington, and he'd gotten in. He called me, his voice bright with excitement. I'm coming to Seattle, Ethan. For real this time. I should have been over the moon, but panic clawed at me. This was real now, him moving, us building something. What if I wasn't ready? What if I failed him? That's amazing, I said, forcing a smile. When? 3 months, he said. Gives me time to wrap things up here. 3 months felt like forever and no time at all. I threw myself into work, trying to drown the fear, but it only grew. Nexus was thrilled with my latest designs, but Clara's words from the pitch kept echoing. This has soul. Did I? Or was I just a fraud, faking it for everyone, including Malik? He sensed it, of course. During one call, he leaned close to the screen, his eyes searching. Talk to me, Ethan. You're pulling away. I swallowed hard. I'm scared, I admitted. What if I'm not enough? For you, for this job, for any of it? He was quiet for a moment, then said, You're enough. You've always been enough. You just have to believe it. His words broke something in me, and I cried, the kind of ugly tears I hadn't let myself feel in years. He stayed on the call, his voice steady, until I could breathe again. I'm coming, he said, and we're gonna figure this out together. Malik arrived in Seattle on a rainy spring day, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his smile brighter than the gray sky. I met him at the airport, my heart a tangle of hope and fear. This was it, the start of something real or the moment it all fell apart. We moved him into a small apartment near campus, just a bus ride from my place. The first few weeks were a whirlwind. Late-night talks, shared meals, his laughter filling the holes in my life. He started classes, diving into psychology with a passion that made me proud and a little jealous. I was still with Nexus, my designs earning praise, but the pressure never let up. One night, we walked along the waterfront, the city lights reflecting on the water. He stopped, pulling me close. "You're still scared," he said, his breath warm against my cheek. "I can feel it." I nodded, unable to lie. "I'm trying. I've never done this before. Not like this." He took my hand, his grip firm. "Me neither. But we're here. And I'm not running." That night, in his bare apartment, we made love for the first time, slow and deliberate, like we were mapping each other's souls. It wasn't perfect, nothing ever is, but it was us, raw and real. Afterward, lying in his arms, I felt the walls I'd built start to crumble. But life wasn't a fairy tale. Work grew brutal, with Nexus demanding revisions that kept me up until dawn. Malik's classes were intense, and money was tight for both of us. We fought sometimes. Small, stupid things like whose turn it was to do dishes or why I'd gone quiet again. Each fight chipped away at me, feeding the fear that I'd ruin this. One evening, after a particularly bad day, I snapped at him over something trivial, leaving his shoes by the door. He didn't yell back. Instead, he sat me down, his hands on mine. "Ethan, talk to me. What's really going on?" I broke, the words spilling out. "I'm terrified I'll lose you, that I'll mess this up, like I mess up everything else." He didn't let go. "You're not messing anything up. You're human. And I love you." The words hit like a tidal wave. I stared at him, my throat tight. "You what?" "I love you," he repeated, his voice steady. "I moved here for you. I'm not going anywhere." I cried again, but this time it was different. Relief, not fear. "I love you too," I whispered, and it felt like a vow. We didn't fix everything that night. Love doesn't erase doubt or stress or the grind of life, but it gave us something to hold on to. Over the next months, we learned each other's rhythms. My late nights, his early classes, our shared mornings over coffee. Nexus offered me a permanent role, and I took it, pouring my soul into designs that felt like mine. Malik aced his first semester, his dream of helping kids closer than ever. 1 year after that naked hotel room moment, we stood on a pier, the Seattle skyline glittering behind us. He kissed me, his hands framing my face, and I felt it, the certainty I'd spent my life chasing. We weren't perfect, but we were enough. The room service guy who walked in on me changed more than that night. He changed me, and in the mess of life, in the risks we took and the fears we faced, we found something worth keeping: each other.